Good morning, good morning, good morning. Make sure I'm not muted. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, AD Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. I appreciate you guys for being here, rocking with us again this morning. We're going to have a great conversation. Prayerfully, I sent the link out to Mr. Matt Genius, see if he can make his way in the building. I'm double checking. But listen, I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you guys for always being a part of what we do. We're on here every single day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Good morning, Jeff. Great morning to you. Had a great morning. Good things happening. I'm gonna hold my peace till we get started. So make sure you share, make sure you're tagging other people to get on the broadcast. Listen, just stay connected to us. We have some amazing things happening. We're building our network. So just stay connected. That's the best way to put it. Just stay connected. And partner up with us. You know, we love to have you a part of all that the Brothers of Legacy are doing. So make sure you just stay connected. So we did have the holiday dinner giveaway. A little delay in the handling the cards. It's just a little more complicated than I thought. or maybe I'm making it more complicated than it needs to be. So it's happening. Just to let you know, those that have given and been a blessing, it's happening. And we have a list of names. Like, I don't know, you know, I want to show that we're doing what we say we're doing without putting folks' business out there. Hey, Mama Corey, great morning to you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. So we're going to have a great conversation today, talking about redefining manhood, or just, I feel like, and you know, I know I'm gonna get some pushback, I know, but I feel like it's just a shifting and an evolution in who we are. Certain things we don't have to worry about as much. So it's a skill set that we may not have because, you know, it's not as necessary in most spaces. So let's get busy. Let's kick this off real quick. Quick intro. You know what we do. I promise. Listen, just stay tuned. I got a whole new intro coming. I think it's been some months, man, since I had a great new intro. So just be patient with me. Just had to work the kinks out, but we're gonna make it happen. All right. So here we go.
brothers of legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
What up? What up? What up? Good morning.
Oh, you got the little with you. What's going on, little one?
Hey, hi.
All right. Hey, little one.
Oh, just real quick, I didn't mention Thomas Cotton. He usually comes on Thursday. He won't be on this Thursday. Also, he's just had a death in the family, so just praying for him. A cousin of his.
Shout out to my man Thomas.
Yeah, man. Condolences, send love for that brother right there and his family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So appreciate him. So we are in the building, and I think I've been holding this. I've been waiting. Crucial Conflict. I don't even know who Crucial Conflict is.
What?
I don't. Where they coming at? Well, hold on. First question. What's their era? Like, what's their hot era?
They're in the 90s. They're in the late 90s.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where they coming out of? Where they coming out of?
Chicago.
Okay. Again, I always like to stress during that time we was very segregated here in New York. Not here, but there in New York.
What
was their top song? What was their hot song? Like
smoking on hay in the middle of the bar.
Okay, that might have cracked. That might have cracked some radio play. That might have cracked.
Man, it was everywhere, man. It was everywhere.
Crazy.
It was everywhere.
I'm just saying.
I just saw them too, man.
Smoking that fine bitch.
Did you see that Lil Ray stand-up special? Is that why you put it on there?
No, say again.
Did you see the Lil Ray stand-up special?
Yeah, you saw that too.
Crucial Conflict, man. Crucial Conflict at the end was everything, man. That was tight.
Yeah, man. Them cats look old as me. I'm talking about they had gray hair like I got.
They do, right? They were looking like kids when they
it's
first
so funny
came
to
out.
think about it though. Like, Lil Rel. Okay.
Lil Rel,
Yeah. I never watched the whole thing. I started watching. I don't know. Maybe I got distracted.
It was good, man. It was good.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna give he's like in a gym or something,
he
right?
Like before you can laugh at his jokes.
Yeah, he does.
He said what?
I said he laughed at himself before you can laugh at his jokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does. It was good though. It was good.
Jeff, see, I got no excuse. It's okay, AD. I'm using my whiteness as an excuse. You can slide. See, I can't. But like I said, in New York, we kept it segregated.
Man, I was in the South and I knew about Crucial Conflict, man.
I know, like I said, New York was unless you crack like the top 10, like as far as songs.
Yeah, New York was popping. New York was popping at that time.
It wasn't coming in,
You guys didn't have a need for anybody.
Everybody was a rapper in New York, though. That's why you couldn't. We didn't have any room for anybody else. Everybody was a rapper.
And at that time, well, I mean, y'all did have two of the biggest artists at that time, Biggie and Nas. So I give you that.
No, but let's hear me out. It's not. It wasn't just that. It's just like I said, there was a plethora of rappers.
When you had
Biggie,
you had Nas, you had everything coming out of Bad Boy.
Right, Bad Boy alone, right. And you had Puffy with his remixes, so you had not only compete with the original song, but now you compete with the remix. So listen, appreciate you guys for being here today. I didn't even get to share my other little bit of news. I had to have Kaneem here. Hold on, there you go.
Okay.
Before you disappear again, your boy just announced that he's making a run.
I was happy to hear it. I'm
sorry, I missed that. You're making a what now?
No, Trump is running again. That's all.
Oh, okay.
I had to have
Let me mute myself for this one.
Yeah. Trump is making a comeback. That's what he called it.
Listen, we're not going deep into it.
To hear it. And this is the same day that his CFO went first day of trial, and they finna take all his money. So he finna use all this campaign money to try to beat these cases. That he got.
You are funding that. You are funding his lawyers. Yes, you are.
Oh, I'm not funding nothing. Don't say you are. I'm not funding nothing.
You know you are. You get that $5. You get them texts.
Hey, I am campaigning for his incarceration, like Black Lives was campaigning for our for our upholdment of Black liberty. That's what I'm doing.
Look, Jeff said, he said, "Oh yeah, Kaneem hiding his happiness." Right, right. I
Hey,
know. We know you're gonna have
hey,
this.
yeah,
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna be the first one.
All right. So today we are discussing redefining manhood, and I put that up because I don't know, like in some respects, I feel like the who we are as men is kind of shifting some, still somewhat of a bravado, but what we do as men, and I think it's more of a and as for context and clarity, as far as in America, how we, like I said, raise our children as far as what they do, what they learn, because of technology, and focus. We're more apt, like I would more likely have my son learn how to code than to fix a car first. Like, where's the work at? Where's the opportunities at, as far as just life in general. So
Sound like
that's,
part two.
yeah, this part two. It's part two. Because I got the therapist, Mr. Matt Genius, in the building, licensed therapist, not just an internet social media therapist. He is real, live,
Yeah,
serving the state of
No
Georgia.
Google certificate.
Right,
Right.
right, right. Actually went to a school, yes, accredited university.
Right.
So, welcome, Matt. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be.
Yes,
I got my
indeed.
little co-host right here.
I see in
Yeah.
the building. So good to see you. All right. So would you say, and this towards Matt, would you say the focus here, let me do this. I don't know. I always like it this way if we're doing. There we go. Would you say the how we as men are like evolving, like our focus, or and would you say, are we moving in a healthy direction, or we are missing some essential things? I think
Man,
I said
that's a
that right.
loaded question, man. Loaded question. And I definitely think this is one of those topics that we have to revisit and get an array of opinions, because
Yeah.
I think people will say certain things based on their comfortability, of the audience, of this forum. But the truth is, man, I honestly think it would be wise of us to see how we can expand
Right.
the definitions that we have. I think one
Right.
of the
I think
things that we have been taught to believe is that our manhood doesn't stack up to
right.
manhood.
Right.
And so because we believe that for so long, then we continue in that same pathway of repeating, you know, um, unhealthy patterns. That's not necessarily ours to claim. We repeat unnecessary parenting habits, relationship habits, because we've defined, or we've accepted a definition of manhood that
Right.
wasn't originally ours. So I think it would be a great conversation to talk about, if we were to go in the direction of redefining manhood, then we
Right.
would have to think of a couple things. First, what would we like to take with us from the definition that we have already?
Right.
I don't believe that we have to throw everything away.
Right.
But I do think we could add to it, to expand it, to see how we can benefit not just the generation that are standing in the space of manhood right now, but to see how we can help the next generation understand it better,
Right.
understand it better, transition in it healthier, and know that it's never a defined space, meaning that you're going to always be growing in that space. So even though, you could say I'm a man, but,
Right.
a man isn't necessarily something that is stagnant. Boom, I've reached manhood and now I'm done.
I'm
Like
done.
there's no
Right.
work
Right.
to be, there's always
Right.
growth to be had
Right.
in that space of manhood. So I'm very open to hear what the other guys have to say, and then we could talk about how we can start reprogramming, because that's what it will take, reprogramming the mind on what that definition needs to be.
Right. Right. Um, as far as you can, like, and I guess I can jump in this as well. I mean, like I said before, on Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, I was kind of like going through. I was doing a Google, YouTube research. So for clarity, more or less like the main thing I put in the search was, are we raising a softer generation? And having people, that are on YouTube kind of define manhood, and it varied, some defined it as a lot of as work, meaning, being able to cut down trees in a sense, or be work on cars, having those I'm gonna throw them air quotes, like those manly like skills. Um, I saw some that just spoke about internal like integrity and I guess not wavering or fearless, so it was kind of varying on defining manhood, right? And like anything, because man is just it's so wide. Like, how do you really define? I know, like Pastor speaks about, and I concur, is the covering. If you have a household, being your cover, and a leader in your household, defined as a husband or a man in your household. Consistency, yeah. I think that's just a character attribute for everyone. I think should have. But would you say there are specifics that really define, like, I guess, protector, and that kind of the mindset, like protector of your fam, protector of your community, and like we talked about yesterday, and of course the nuances of what you consider soft, like not stepping up, what do you consider soft, as far as, and I move towards a protector mindset, like, are you soft if you don't respond? I don't know. Like, and I want to mention, like, if someone like smacked your wife, and they're like,
oh, that's I've been to jail before.
Right.
So we might as well just go ahead and call it. You know what I'm saying? Because if anybody ever slap my wife,
right,
you got to see me on the news somewhere.
I feel you, like, and even you got to. It's like I have to respond. Like, even if they are way bigger, they have a bunch of people around them. Like, I can't just let it roll. Like, it's got to be some action happening, right? But if a situation calls that this may not go well, if I respond,
if I witness
was I a
that,
weak
man,
or was I a wise man?
Well, if I'm a witness to it, then more than likely I'm gonna be on the news. If my wife come back and tell me about it,
okay,
then I'll be that dude. I'll be that dude in the bushes with a ski mask.
More premeditated.
I'll be that dude. But but if I witness it,
yeah,
that's something totally different. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I got you.
But yesterday was a totally different topic than today. Softness and all that.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's just today we're talking about defining it. Is there a definition? Can we define it in one swoop, or what we do? And I just wondered about that. Like, is there a definition? I mean, we have the things I feel like that we feel like, oh, that may pull your manhood into question. Like you said, if he just, like if we as a couple were talking and I was like, yeah, my man just smacked her, and y'all look at me like, what did you do? like, oh, we just walked away. We just walked away.
What did you do?
Yeah, like, and I'm like, we just walked away. I held her face and we walked away.
I think a part of that is that, when we start to have the conversation about manhood, the topic of violence usually comes up.
Right. True indeed.
And I think we have to start learning how to separate ourselves from, those two, as if those two have to be correlated. They don't. I'm a man, but I'm not a violent person.
Right.
Do I have violent tendencies in me? Of course I do. Of course. But I don't think that's the lead of the conversation, or it should be the lead in the conversation when it comes to defining manhood. There's so much more to
you heard
us.
me say it. Matt said, "Don't start off," and you started off with violence.
I did purposely, because that has been equated though. Like that has been equated, and that's why I brought it up.
You have to.
I'm not a violent person. Like I hate.
Listen. We could talk about violence. That's not the issue, but to link the two as if they have to be next to each other, manhood and violence. And if you're not violent, then you're soft. Then you're not a man. Then your man card get pulled, and then everything is in questioning. Then you got to go on trial in front of the manhood of the world and
the tribal men,
and then plead your case. Right?
Don't take
man. Why you let it happen to you, man? It's like, come on, man. So I think when you think about manhood, you have to start thinking about what are the attributes that kind of sets us apart from defining that type of person, or the attribute to that specific species. Like you're talking about a man. So what are the things that are essential in that topic to make that thing the thing that is,
right?
And that's the trick about words. We give out these definitions based on what we've been told it is, and we've just kind of fell in line and agreed that, okay, this is what it is. This is what it is, and this is what it always will be. And then, of course, culture, nuances of society, religion, education have their own, ways of coming in and adding or removing understandings to it. But ultimately, I think it's something that if we do decide as a collective what manhood is, then it's something that we have to make sure that is being broadcast, being heard, being portrayed in the spaces where manhood is being defined. And I don't know right now if we have that capacity, because we can, hey, listen, on this forum right now, we can say it. And I hope our reach could go wide enough to help impact some of the listeners who are listening.
Right.
But you're talking about media, you're talking about news, you're talking about movies, you're talking about radio, you're talking about music, you talk about books, you're talking about all the other stereotypical stuff that's already been out there about manhood. You talk about, certain cultures that don't, so there's a lot to think about. But I think for us, we have to feel safe enough saying these things without feeling like, oh man, as soon as we say this, I'm not watching their show no more because they soft, They're talking about manhood and hugs,
right?
And listening to each other and talking about their feelings,
right?
And so I think we have to push away from some of those stereotypical definitions of what a man is. I fell into that trap very early, being from South Florida, being raised in Opelika. A man was defined as a person who can handle their business, handle their business on the streets, got a lot of money, got a lot of girls, got a lot of stuff, got the Chevy with the spokes, white walls, you know what I'm talking about? So it's like when you grew up with that limited understanding of what a man is, you fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks. And I think we could do a better job of stretching that definition open up for ourselves first. And then as we embody it, it'll be easier to give these messages to the next generation and challenge their understanding, because trust me, they have an understanding of what manhood is already. And they've been showing us that. They've been showing us that, listen, man, you can't tell me anything because I'm a man. And so how do we allow that conversation to be a part of a community that's always learning? Yeah, I'm a man, but man, I love knowledge. I love learning. I love expanding. I love growing. I love feeling safe. I love keeping my community safe. I love, being with my family. I love these things that aren't necessarily attached to manhood as easily as violence is.
Well, let me ask this question right quick. What do you gentlemen think would be the basics of this starting point,
right,
to even consider to have a title as a man? What would be the basics for you to consider yourself to be a man? In your own personal opinion. I mean, whether you're looking at somebody else,
right,
or whether you're thinking about yourself.
That's good.
What would be the basics? I'm not extremely manly. I'm not average. I'm not above average. But the very basics of calling yourself or calling someone else a man.
I love this quote right here. This message by Dr. Rollins. You know, it
Dr.
says
Rollins,
may also
okay.
need to separate out roles too, right? Sometimes the role of a father, husband gets rolled into manhood. Just thinking about my son and who he is as and who is a man doesn't necessarily carry those same roles. So yeah, you know, I think for me, you have to be able to see the separation from what a boy is, right? What a boy or a child or whatever, however it's easier to define, whatever an adolescent person is, a young adult is, and in knowing and defining the definition of how to transition into a man, right? So for me, the transition allows you to become to move away from yourself as a liability, meaning a individual who is reliable or who is dependent on others. And then as you transition into manhood, you become a part of that community that becomes an asset.
Right.
And so, you know, you're switching your understanding to provide something different, you know, out of yourself. And so if I transition successfully, that is from young adulthood to manhood, I become a part of the community that is pouring back into, not just receiving. Of course, we're all receiving, but the difference is the engine as far as pouring back into the community, pouring back into the self, pouring back into whomever shifts when you become a man. And I think that's the easiest way for me to look at it.
Right. So if I mean, I'm not trying to summarize it or shorten it down, but I'm just asking a question. What you just said was not being a liability and becoming an asset.
That's it.
Okay. What about you, AD?
I think for me, it sums into, because I was like, how could I put it into a few words? But I think it's more just taking responsibility, kind of the same, but being responsible. You know, like not into a space of no matter what happens, you take responsibility. You know, even if it's not your fault, you man up and you take responsibility for, you know, things that happen within your parameter. You know, even if you haven't done it, you try to fix it or make it right, or you do something so that we can move forward. You know, that, I mean, and that's how I define it, you know, just taking responsibility. You know, we're in a group, something happens, you know, hey, I got it. You know, you just
the
basics
of manhood is
responsibility.
Can you summarize responsibility?
Responsibility.
Okay. What about you? What about you, Brother Brian?
Is that the answer?
So, in its most basic, fundamental definition,
to start off,
just from the ground,
yours. Nobody else is yours.
Yeah, just yours.
Don't do that. Yours.
Being a man is being an adult male. I pee standing up.
That's basic.
Well, you've been doing that for a minute. That don't make you a man, though.
I said adult male, not a boy, not an adolescent male. I said an adult male is a man.
Adult male is a man.
Okay.
Define that.
Right. Break it down a little further.
I am not female.
Okay. I
am not woman. I am man.
Okay, so all right, give me an age then. How about
age?
That? Yeah, since you pee, because you pee standing up from 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
So as a man,
so at what age do you consider yourself to be a man
as an adult man? When did you cross that threshold? 16, 17, 18, 19?
17.
So you're an adult man at 17.
Personally, for me, yes, because I was in the military fighting for my country, so I was a man at 17.
Okay. All right.
Interesting. What you feeling, Matt?
No, I wanted to. I'm waiting for yours. You know, now you got all of ours. What's yours?
Matt already told you what his was.
No, I'm talking about yours. Yeah. What's
me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm parallel with Matt. When you become independent, when you can stand on your own feet, pay your own bills, buy your own groceries, buy your own deodorant, when you become independent, I feel you have become a man. Now that's my basics now.
Basics.
When you can take care of your own living standards Basic. I ain't got to call my mama. I ain't got to call my daddy. I ain't got to call my cousin. I'm on my own 2 feet.
I may have to call you
Then I
once,
become man.
maybe. Do I lose my man card if I got to call you one time as my daddy? And you're not my daddy, but as my daddy.
Everybody had their own version. I'm just giving you my version.
No, I'm sorry. You're right, Kaneem. I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead, Pastor.
What Kaneem just described to me was grown.
Okay.
A man. Yeah. That's my version.
But see,
that's my version.
I got a daughter doing that.
All right.
She just grown.
Yeah, but she's a grown woman. She's a woman. She's not a little girl.
Being a man is taking care of your.
She's a woman by basic. Now, when she becomes a excelling woman, then maybe she got a whole lot going on. But as basics, if she can support herself, she's a woman.
See, to me, I call that being grown.
Okay.
Because see, all these young people think they're grown. I'm like, you still in my pocket. You a young adult, but you ain't grown. Grown is when you handling your own business, taking care of your own stuff, paying your own bills.
That's my definition of a man.
So why is it that we have to have like subtitles when it comes to adulting? Like, why do we have to have?
Because see, to me, adulthood, like we have this term being grown. You're right. It's a term. And I agree with you, but for me, I think it's funny. I think it's fun. I think it's colorful, and I think it's community. I think it's culture, right? To have those subtitles. But if you want to get rid of the subtitles, then that's when it merges into adulthood. When you're operating like an adult as opposed to being grown up.
Yes.
I get it, and it makes sense. I think it for the purpose of redefining manhood, when we introduce adulthood, grown, and those other terminologies in it, it gives branches to not necessarily stick to what we're trying to accomplish. Like, what is manhood, and how do we get, a consensus of what that is and what it looks like, what it feels like, and so forth. And so I get it, man. It makes sense to me, but I also feel like there's a part of what we do that limits the excitement of transitioning from young adult to manhood.
Okay. You said limit the excitement.
Limit like the desire to actually go towards it. Like,
okay.
So I'm a man, but I'm not an adult.
No.
I'm a man, but I'm not like grown.
Oh yeah.
And I get it because these things are seen.
Right.
But I think even before we get into the space of seeing them, I think we have to make it as simple. It has to be a path to where you understand, okay, after I finish 9th grade, I'm going to 10th grade. After I finish 10th, I'm going to 11th and 12th and then go to college. So what is the next step? But we have this step, then we have 3 other steps right here, and then maybe that step, and then a couple other steps, and then you might be parallel with. And so I think for us to really put it there to where it could, be bite sizable for a lot of us, we just have to say, okay, so where are you coming from? You're coming from a state to where you understood your definition as a child, your definition as an adolescent, your definition as a young adult, which is that person that's ready to transition into adulthood. And I think we have a role to shape. Them into, now you're around that age where we can start having different conversations, giving you different responsibilities, educating you on how to manage certain things. And then you can successfully say that this is the title that you're attached to. But I think we lose the luster. That's an old word right there, man. You can tell them luster. We lose that luster.
Hold on. I want to go back. Let me time out for just a second because you're talking about that. Because to me, what you're saying right now, this line of thought right here, aligns with milk versus meat.
Right.
Milk versus meat. You got to,
because the older that you get, the more you mature, the more dynamics are entered into your conversation.
I got you.
Right? Because as a boy, I'm a boy, she's a girl. That's it.
Right.
As a teenager, I'm a boy who look like this, she's a girl who looks like that. And there's other dynamics that come into play as you grow up. Teenagers, when they get to a certain age of accountability, getting your driver's license, their mindset begins to focus on adulthood.
Right.
I have a driver's license. Now I can do what my mama or what my daddy does. I can get in the car and drive. That makes me look like I'm grown.
Right.
And your mindset begins to change. And because of that, socially, it's important for adults to come and say, oh, baby, yeah, you're growing up, but you ain't there yet. Let me tell you the difference between where you are right now as a young adult versus you talking about you grown. Grown folks pay bills. Grown folks drive their own cars. It's social.
Right.
That's how I see it. And so I think you add more dynamics, you add more layers as you mature.
Yeah, I feel you on what you're saying, and you're correct. There are levels, but like I said, my basics, for being a man, is independence.
I got you.
If I got to go to my mama and say, or if I got to go to my mama to eat daily, I ain't a man yet.
Hey, Dave.
But I can look. But I can look. Like if I go outside right now, if I drive downtown Atlanta, and I see a man panhandling,
that's different, man. That's totally different.
But he's still a man.
Yeah, but that's totally different. His levels have went up and came down. You don't know where his levels at. You know what I'm saying?
If I just look at him, I can't say anything other than the fact that that's a man.
Yeah, but that's a totally different aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what his issue is. If he's homeless, more than likely he did it to himself, or he got some type of mental instability. That's totally different. You know what I'm saying? It's just my opinion.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Let me get some of these comments in. So Jeff says, becoming a man happened to me when I started providing for more than myself.
That's good.
If you had a question, we're gonna get to it. I think we kind of spoke about, do you connect a certain age with manhood? I know it doesn't guarantee maturity, but is there a connection between the two? Dr. Rollins says, would be interesting to look at rites of passage programs, curriculum, to see what they include. That's my research thought coming out, right?
No, that's not your research. That's your nerd coming out.
We have one of those events for our young boys through our church. It was awesome. Yeah, I kind of have.
Now, stop right there, AD.
Yes.
Why would you have something like that at your church? Why would you have rites of passage? Why would you have curriculum? Why would you have those types of curriculums? Why would you do that? Because not everybody defines man the same way. Not everybody defines adult the same way. Not everybody defines grown the same way. Right? We all, and that's why it's important to have these conversations. That's why it's important, because this is all social makeup. That's what this is.
Yeah, it's a social construct. And I think, if you understand how social construct comes into play and why it's important, then it's important for us to then define our own understanding of what manhood is for the communities that we serve and the communities that we're in. I think, like you said, there are several definitions of a man. For me, once you start making that cheese in the hood, you're a man. If you got them hands, if you lay somebody out, you're a man. If you got the girls, you're a man. If you got,
and that's the interpretation from the eyes of the beholder. You feel what I'm saying?
And so that's why those programs, like Latrice was saying, are so important. There are several programs that help people understand, rites of passage, and that comes from our roots. There are still countries in Africa right now that still have very active roles in transitioning their young people to adulthood and to elders and to whether they're going to be soldiers or whatever else. But the point is, it's defined by the culture, by the people. And so we can't come in and be like, oh, you're not a man. Maybe they look at us like we have three eyes. It's like you're not making sense to us, because we've been defining this particular transition for years, for a very long time. And so for you to come in and say this is not what it is, for us, we've allowed a lot of external understanding to define our understanding of what manhood is. And so therefore it's a lot of convoluted understanding.
100%.
I remember, being in the church and then having a lot of standards put on me as far as what I needed to do before I could become a man. And a lot of it was materialistic. It wasn't necessarily spiritual at all. It's like, Do you have a job? Do you have a? By the way, put this in context. I was trying to date a pastor's daughter, so.
I need more.
I'm gonna be truthful. I'm gonna be truthful, right? There you go. There you go. Right? I'm gonna be truthful. Right? Do you have a job?
What's your 5-year plan?
Check this out. You 40 years old.
Right.
40 years old.
Right.
And you ain't never left your mama house.
Can I still be a man?
40 years old and you ain't never left your mama house.
What
you didn't have a job. But you never had an apartment on your own. You don't even have a car. You're 40 years old, you don't even have a car.
I might want to stay home.
Still at your mama house.
Take care of my mama.
It's called frugal.
Yeah, you know.
I'm taking care of my mama, living in the basement.
That's it. And then
but you ain't taking care of your mama. You ain't got no job. You ain't got no car.
You ain't say that. You ain't say that.
I mowed the lawn. Can I mow the lawn?
But you thought that though. I didn't say nothing. You ain't got no job.
I'm gonna always
look for no car.
I'm gonna always look for the can do. Like, what can he do? You know, maybe he's cooking dishes. Maybe he's cleaning the house.
Right.
Maybe. But my question is, how long? I'm gonna say that he's a man.
Right.
Is this the age?
But when did he get to that level? At some point, because you already know what my basics is, independence.
Right.
But you ain't never been independent.
Right.
So at what age is he considered to be a man? And he got kids. Let me say that too.
When Kaneem said how long?
No job. At his parents' house.
How long must I suffer you?
Right. How long? I felt like it was going to be a run.
No job, no car, with kids at his parents' house, not contributing nothing financially to his parents' house.
Can I tell you why?
I'm saying, what age did he cross over to manhood?
Now, what do you call that if he's 40?
I'm this close to signing my rap deal. I've been trying since the 90s. I'm this close to signing that record deal. I'm this close.
I'm just saying.
What do you call that, Kaneem?
The clean version, Kaneem.
The clean version.
Yes.
You know there's levels to it.
Right.
So, he doesn't have a clean version.
I'm
just gonna put it in the chat.
I'm gonna call him a sorry.
Right,
man.
right. Okay.
I had more to put on that, but I'm gonna just sorry.
I'm gonna call him my brother. That's what
I'm gonna call it for his mother's sake or his father's sake. Delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Bam. Look at that.
Or failure to launch. Either one of them, right? But honestly, I'm gonna call him my brother. You know, if I meet this guy, I'm you know, what happens when we meet? Right. Yeah, what happens when we meet a person who's in a space like that? The hope.
And he don't have any mental instabilities. No mental instability.
Like what? Okay, so what? Listen, I know, man. I don't even know this guy, and my heart is tearing up for him already. Like,
so true story.
Like, come on.
I was at a gas station one day.
Go ahead.
And I saw a guy sitting in the
what's up, Terry?
Passenger seat, and I saw his girlfriend putting gas in the car. AD is laughing because he knows this story. I saw her pumping gas. I saw him sitting in the passenger seat. Then he got out of the car and talked to the girl while she's pumping gas. I said, "What's up, bro?" He's like, "What's up, dog?" I said, "No, I was talking to the one pumping the gas."
But you know, and I'm glad we're getting into this, right? Like definitions, what defines you. I mean, listen, Kaneem, I feel you. It would be bad for you to know someone that's been in the house that long, not doing anything. But you know, let's go back to the trial, Matt. Do they lose their man card you know, in that space? Like, does it really take away from them being a man because they're not doing? You know, like, and let's I'm opening the conversation. I feel you though, Kareem, 100%. You know, you and
Bro,
freeload on the fam.
Let me give you one more, Matt, or you go ahead and give us that goodness.
And he don't got no legs. I'm like, come on.
No, let me give you one. Now, I'm gonna give it to you real personal.
All right.
My daddy was staying with my grandma.
Okay.
And he was 60 plus years old. Now, don't get me wrong. He had been away from my grandma's house.
Right.
But in all the years, he never stayed by himself. He was always staying with somebody. Never had his own. At 60, he was still at my grandma's house. From here to here. They'd been married 3 or 4 times. But never had his own, even after his divorces or whatever. Always was staying with somebody. He would get divorced and go back to my grandma's house.
He like living alone.
Listen,
it's home base.
For me, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Hold on now. Look, see, because you can't.
Anyway, go ahead. Give me some of that goodness. Go ahead.
Does he still have legs? Does he still have at least?
No, old man dead now. So
okay, so condolences, man. This is my point, man. My point in saying this is that sometimes we dress up these understanding and we just put everything against it. You know, we put everything against it, and so therefore it feels like you have no way back to manhood. You have no way back to manhood. Once you lose that space of what the understanding is, as far as you defining yourself as a man or other people seeing you as a man, you are now cast away forever. And I think our visions are not clear. You know, when we get the chance to see behind the curtain, then our visions become clear, and then we can start to empathize on the why and the how and the context of how certain people are in those situations. When we just give out blanket statements like a person's homeless, or a person's living with their parents, or he has 3 or 4 kids, I still don't know what's happening behind the curtain.
Right.
You know? And so therefore it's not my position to say this person cannot be a man or is not a man. Right. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. What I do know for sure is that this conversation is helping expand the understanding of what a manhood could be for a lot of us, you know. But I honestly feel like sometimes when we put out there these like strict, you know, like, you ain't touching that, man, you're not a man yet, you know, you're not this yet, then it already kind of doubles down on the idea that I don't have what it takes.
Right.
You know, I don't have what it takes and I can never measure up, you know, and a lot of us as men feel that way in a society that doesn't necessarily align with the ideals for ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So therefore, when we look at what the criteria is, we can't measure up.
Right.
You know, we can't measure up. So I think we have to be more welcoming. This is a space that we have to be more inviting. Hey, man, the water's fine. You know, transitioning into manhood wasn't easy for me because of a lot of the things I had to overcome. But at the same time, now that I'm here and I know what it is and I feel what it is inside of me, man, this is great. Second best hood I've ever been in. First best hood is fatherhood, but second best hood is nice. Manhood, you know. Nice. And so I think we have to be a little bit more sensitive as far as knowing that we don't have access to behind the curtain for a lot of people, you know. Right. And so we don't know what tools they have gained over the years, what tools they were missing, who is there to educate spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And so sometimes I think empathy has to be the thing that we have to have for a lot of us who aren't necessarily measuring up based on the dominant standard. You know, there's a lot of stay-at-home dads. There's a lot of single fathers. There's a lot of unemployed men. There's a lot of people who don't have the financial stability of us. And so for us to just erase that entire population and say that they can't step into manhood or they have, I think it's more, divisive at times, and it keeps people stagnated to even attempt. Like, man, I don't care, but I don't care, and I think we could do better.
So
listen, people looked at me. I remember when.
Hold on, Pastor. real quick before you go into. Remember what you're gonna say. I just gotta tell y'all. Speaking of divisiveness, speaking of tools, speaking of love coming together, I need you to go hit that like button. Make sure you're sharing. Let everybody know that the brothers are on. Appreciate you. All right, go ahead, Pastor.
I remember when one day I ran out of money, and I was in a hotel. I just moved to Kentucky. I was in a hotel, and I was looking for a job before I run out of money, and I never found the job, and I ran out of money.
Right.
And I ended up in a shelter. And when I was in that shelter, it was on a main street. Right across the street from the shelter, there's a young guy. I was probably 24, 23, 24. And there was a young guy who lived across the street, had this bad car, souped up, customized, nice rims and everything. And I looked over at him, and he looked like he might have been 19. I was so embarrassed watching him over there at that house, but he was living with his parents, and I was in a shelter. And I felt like he was looking down on me. And it wasn't just an eerie feeling. It was because of some of his mannerisms, his behavior, right? Never said anything to him, but I remember how I felt. And I had been in the military, serving my country. I had worked in Beverly Hills, and I found myself in this situation. And I had to fight to get out of it. And what I will tell you is the looks that I got from people, from men, as I walked out of that shelter, walked into that shelter, all while I was fighting to get me a job. I found a job while I was in the shelter, had to get me a place. I moved out of that shelter into a trailer to grow and continue to push. And what's interesting is there was never a day that I didn't feel 100% man. I felt like a man every day because I knew how I got there.
Right.
But the people looking at me didn't. And I know people look down on me, but what I've learned because of my, and Kaneem, we just had this conversation. We talked about the science, medical science and body parts. Remember we talked about, donors and all this stuff, and you had a different take on it because you've had that type of work done on your body because of the medical conditions that you've had to fight.
Kidney transplant. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so,
December will be 2 years for my kidney transplant.
Right. And we bless God for that. But you had a different perspective because you were a recipient. You had experienced it versus someone who's like, nah, I don't believe in all that. Well, let me give you another perspective. Right. And that's kind of where we are here with manhood. Right. Everybody has a different perspective. And, and like right now today, my wife gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And she has to leave the house to drive south to Centerville, Georgia, to go to where she's working. And I'm at home every day, walking the dog up and down the street, working out of my home, and people can see my wife get up and drive and be like, this dude got his woman out here and he at home all day, every day. Yeah, they don't know that I've been holding it down for 25 years.
Right.
They don't know that she's doing what she desires to do. Right. They just see what it looks like.
Right.
And so and I'm just saying this is just piggybacking off your point, Matt. We don't know what's behind the veil.
Right.
What's behind the curtain. We don't know how people got to where they are. So I feel like there are levels, there are dynamics, there are variations to this conversation because, again, the social makeup. We're looking at it from a social vantage point and nothing else.
Right. Ephraim said there's an urgent to grow, challenge, and produce good men because women need them. Fatherhood is just nice to have. It's a necessity. Indeed. Let's see. So they're gonna make another announcement about Trump. Let's see. Jeff said he said can't just pass judgment without feeling guilty. Matt, dang. But go ahead, Kaneem.
In your head.
No, I was just gonna say, man, I probably didn't. Well, in my mind, I didn't become a man. My own personal knowledge, I didn't become a man until I was probably about 27.
Okay.
And the reason I nailed it down at 27 is that's when I bought my first house.
Gotcha.
And from Now, don't get me wrong. I've been out on my own since I was 17.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought you felt maybe then going out on
No,
your
no,
own.
no. I was on my own, but I was doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it because I had the money, the means, and the drive to do that.
Right.
But I still didn't have that independency like I thought. You know what I'm saying? I still had stuff on my back. I still had to look over my shoulder. I still had to look around the corner. I didn't have that freedom to be independent. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So once I planted roots and I was on my own, then I felt like I was man. I could my chest was already poked out, but now I felt like I had a cape on. I felt like I was Superman, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You said you felt.
I felt like a man. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was that dude. Right. And not that I had bravado or conceited.
Right.
But I just know that I had more to offer than what I was receiving.
I like that.
That's good.
That last part really resonated with me. More to offer, because that's when you're coming into the balance of being an asset, meaning your hands out to receive versus you pouring back into, But then again, this conversation is so rich.
Yeah.
What we're doing is helping people feel welcome in the space that they're at. Listen, man, a lot of us had some difficult hands that were dealt, and some of us still have that same hand,
Right.
And I think a part of us activating what manhood really is helping people feel safe enough to know that, look, you're not lost forever, bro.
Right.
You're not lost forever. It's like having hardware or having something and not knowing how to fully use it. You ever see somebody with a car or like that nice bike right there, past us in the background, and they don't know how to use it? Like, man, what you doing? Like, you're gonna ruin this beautiful machine.
Right. You can't have one of these until you're a man.
Boom. Right? Like, see what I'm saying? Right? The point is,
hold on. Only real men have bikes like these.
I think all of us have the equipment. I think all of us have the equipment, and the true hardware is between the ears. I think that's what it is right here. And it takes a specific setting. It takes a specific environment. It takes a specific people. It takes a specific types of interaction to pull that out of us. And a lot of us aren't necessarily fortunate to be in those spaces where that's what it pulls out of us. We talked about this last time. A lot of people will come to the phase where they say, man, that's all I know, and that's all I know as far as what a man is. And your knowledge is the limitation of your consciousness. If you don't know enough as far as expanding the role of manhood, then you're going to be, you're going to fall short of those things as well. So our job is what we've done a good job is to expand that out a little bit more so people can feel safe enough to say, I may not be a man today, but tomorrow I can activate, and get in a sense of feeling like I'm an asset to my family, to my kids, to my community, to my church or to whomever.
Definitely. Jeff says, I really didn't feel like I became a man until I had my son and had to provide for my wife and son. And that was about 30 for him. Ephraim said, that's good. Yeah. More to offer. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So listen, guys, we appreciate you for being here. Right. We've heard that before. The only real men have those bikes, right?
Yeah. I ain't jealous, but I ain't mad at you.
Those moments when you're flipping on through Facebook during Father's Day, only do this for all the real fathers out there.
Right.
Like, real father? Like, who's a fake father? So we appreciate you guys for being here.
Just don't ask what year it is.
Right.
Hey man, it looks clean to me. It looks real good.
Right.
So
indeed, it is. Very much so, even in person. So we appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Thank you guys for always being a part. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring as well. Make sure you let others know that we are here having those different conversations. We like to expand our conversations and talk about things that aren't necessarily talked about in our community enough. And this is one of them, just defining manhood. 'Cause trust me, you go down the YouTube rabbit hole. It was like, what? You spend 10 minutes listening to someone just like, and explaining what's the answer. Like, so it's amazing. It's amazing because I went down it and it was crazy. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Tomorrow we're gonna have a great conversation. Yeah, I think we're gonna tackle that. Kaneem, if you could be here. Do our children respect our efforts? Do our children respect our efforts?
What day is that? What day
do our children respect our efforts? Ooh, you gonna do that tomorrow?
We're gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't know you're gonna be here?
I might show up Freestyle Friday. I'm not sure.
Touchy topic. We'll talk. He said, "I guess I ain't real one because I don't want a bike anointing."
Man, I'm happy for you, man, because the bike anointing equates to a concrete anointing when you fall.
You gotta know how to lay down prostrate.
Hey, that concrete anointing is right in line with Jesus, because I promise you'll be covered in the blood.
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't ride bikes. I already had my anointing. on the Suzuki 250.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I caught all of the handlebars and the seat.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's what I thought. You was on one wheel, weren't you? Lifting it up.
No, it was on one wheel. I had a face full of dirt. That was the last time I got on a bike too.
That's hilarious.
Man, anyway, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all.
Yes, indeed. We're gonna get out
love
of here.
and respect. Y'all enjoy the day. Make sure it's very prosperous for you. Y'all be safe, and I will holler at y'all boys in a little bit.
Appreciate you, sir.
All right. So listen, we're getting out of here. Appreciate you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. If you or someone you love is having a mental health crisis, dial 988. Dial 988. And if you feel like you need to sit down with a professional therapist, my man right here, he is available. Connect with him, not for free. Just want to throw that out there. he can give you.
He's a man. He has bills to pay.
Right. All that Egypt in the back, that costs money.
It sure does.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. Let them. Man, please let them cancel all my meetings. Oh, to be here tomorrow? Yes. So we appreciate you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Thank you guys for your support being here. Thank you guys for your financial support. And if you're feeling like, oh man, did I miss the financial support? Oh no, you right on time.
Right on time.
So go $ BOL 2019, $ BOL 2019. Also join our text community, text LWN to 84576. Starting tomorrow, there'll be an opportunity to give through the text community as well. So, just to make it easier for you. All right. So we appreciate you guys for being here, being a part of all that we do. Know that we love you. Jesus loves you more. Continue to stay safe, make good choices, do the right thing, all that, and then some. I was trying to check this last comment. I think it's moving slow. So it's right, airfare Egypt, right? Ain't cheap, right? So you guys take care. And we'll see you in the AM. Peace out.